matters relating to the Swedish visa, including interviews at the Spanish embassy in Dakar, Senegal. A press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs informs the general public that this development comes after a visit to the embassy of the Kingdom of Sweden in Abuja by Her Excellency Angela Bicoli, the Gambian High Commissioner to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, during which she and her Swedish counterpart discussed issues bordering on the application of Swedish visas. Opponents of the Mauritanian leader, who is in France for treatment, say their president Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz is not fit to rule the country, and hundreds of people took to the streets of Gaza to celebrate the truce with Israel. But the Prime Minister of the Jewish state has warned of tougher action should Hamas fail to honor the accord. Well, details of these and other stories coming ahead right after this break. Stay tuned.
Discover the smiling coast of Africa.
Welcome back to GRTS News. The leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda and Rwanda have called on the M23 rebels to cease their offensive and withdraw from Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The rebels, who have also taken over another city in the east of DRC, are now demanding direct talks with President Joseph Kabila. Details in the CFI report.
The leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda and Uganda held a regional summit in Entebbe. The presidents demanded that M23 rebels who have captured the city of Goma in eastern DR Congo cease their offensive and withdraw. President Museveni told them wherever they are, they must turn around.
Rebels should get out of the town in a plan which we shall give them. There will be a force to observe that nobody violates the ceasefire.
DR Congolese President Joseph Kabila has committed his government to look into the causes of events in eastern DR Congo. Rwandan President Paul Kagame, whose country is accused of backing the M23 rebels, appears satisfied with President Kabila's declaration.
For the problems that are based in the Congo or that have to be dealt with by the Congolese themselves, they should remain as such.
Meanwhile, the M23 rebels have taken Sake, another city in eastern DR Congo, 20 kilometers from the capital of North Kivu. Presidents Museveni and Kagame have rejected the expansion of the war and the overthrow of the government in Kinshasa. In a new development, the political leader of the M23 rebels has set out for Uganda for talks with President Museveni. The M23 rebels are continuing to demand direct talks with President Joseph Kabila and roundtable talks to include civil society, the diaspora and the Congolese opposition.
Opponents of the Mauritanian leader, who was in France for treatment, say the absentee president is not fit to rule the country, describing him as a man still suffering. They say Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz is physically incapacitated, but as we hear in this report, those in support of President Aziz have been out too, showing their backing for the man who was set to return at the weekend ahead of the country's Independence Day celebrations on Wednesday.
Protests in the centre of the Mauritanian capital Nouakchott against the power vacuum in the country following President Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz's absence. The head of state has been in hospital in Paris since October after receiving a gunshot wound. On Tuesday, Aziz made an appearance meeting President François Hollande in the French capital. Discussions at the Élysée Palace centred on the situation in Mali.
What I am saying loud and clear is that the man is still suffering. And what you see here is just a sham.
The opponents in Nouakchott are following Aziz's every movement when he appears on TV. They believe he has been permanently weakened and will never be fit enough to lead the country. They're calling for a change of leadership.
Already the President of the Republic had shown he was not equal to the political task of running the country. Now we note he is physically incapacitated. The pictures on TV were supposed to show he can carry on running the country.
People favourable to the absent president also made their presence felt. His supporters staged a motorcade to show they back him. It's been announced Aziz will return at the weekend, in time for the country's Independence Day next Wednesday.
Hundreds of people took to the streets of Gaza to celebrate the truce with Israel. The ceasefire, which was brokered by President Mohamed Morsi of Egypt, came in the wake of a week of fighting that left more than 150 Palestinians and 5 Israelis dead. The development also came as a huge relief to the international community, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has warned of tougher military action should Hamas fail to fulfill their own side of the bargain.
There were scenes of joy in Gaza when the ceasefire with Israel was announced. Hundreds of people gathered in the streets, many shooting off their automatic weapons as if they had won a great victory. This is indeed a fragile ceasefire. Then on the Israeli side, Prime Minister Netanyahu promised a tougher military response if the Hamas does not keep its promises. I know there are some citizens who want a tougher military response, and perhaps we should need to do so. But at this time, the right thing for the State of Israel is to use this opportunity to achieve a long-lasting ceasefire. In spite of the tough words, there is relief on the international level. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon praised the accord.
I warmly welcome today's ceasefire announcement. I commend the parties for stepping back from the brink, and I commend the President Morsi of Egypt for his exceptional leadership.
On the ground, there was quiet. The local press in Gaza is calling this a victory. Many people there are used to the death and destruction. What happened was metal and fire on the heads of Netanyahu, Barak, and Lieberman, a lesson that will never be forgotten by the unfair Israeli occupation. On the Israeli side of the border, there were few illusions about a solution. I don't know. Judging by the history of agreements with the Arabs, it seems a bit pessimistic. I think that rockets will return. It's only a question of time. Some Israeli soldiers are still positioned at the Gaza border, while in the West Bank, Israeli soldiers and Shin Bet security forces were making arrests. The week of violence left at least 155 Palestinians and 5 Israelis dead.
Well, from the Middle East, we take a look at our main stories before we go. Permanent secretaries from the various ministries have wrapped up another retreat in Kanilai, where the effective functioning of their respective ministries and attainment of Vision 2020 dominated deliberations. 226 Gambian deportees from Libya Wednesday morning returned home under the assistance of the International Organization for Migration and the Gambia government. Opponents of the Mauritanian leader have said Mohamed Abdel Aziz is not fit to rule the country, but those backing the absentee head of state staged a spectacular show of motorcade ahead of his return to Nouakchott. And peace, at least for now, Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire ending what is believed to be the worst cross-border fighting in 4 years. Well, that brings us to the end of the news. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of Yomul Ashura.